If a private habit you have engaged in for years, one you believed was entirely benign, could be subtly impeding your vitality post-60. I recall vividly a patient I will refer to as Margaret, a 74-year-old woman, sitting composedly in my office. Her distress stemmed not from an acute disease, but from a long-held private routine she assumed was safe. She looked at me with a blend of surprise and melancholy and whispered, "I didn't realize I was hurting myself." Margaret is not an isolated case. Millions of women over 60 continue with the same intimate protocols practiced for decades, unaware that their body's physiology has evolved. What once functioned seamlessly may now be quietly undermining their vitality, intimate connection, and even pelvic structural integrity. I am Dr. Lily Stones, a gynecologist who has spent over 30 years caring for women through every life stage. I have guided countless patients through the changes in intimacy, self-confidence, and health post-menopause. And I must articulate a clinical truth many physicians never openly state: post-60, the quality of self-touch matters profoundly. Yes, masturbation is a natural and potentially healthy practice. However, post-menopause, your body's response mechanism changes. Blood flow decelerates, hormonal levels shift, and nerve conduction slows. If your approach is not adapted, this private act can unintentionally compromise your physical condition, mood state, and even your self-perception. This discussion will present 5 potent clinical truths regarding self-pleasure after 60, truths that are essential for preserving sensitivity, protecting pelvic health, and reigniting confidence in ways you might not have considered possible. Please remain engaged, as the final truth may fundamentally alter your perspective on aging, intimate connection, and your somatic self. I want to share a story. One of my patients, Eleanor, aged 72, looked at me with tears in her eyes and asked, "Doctor, I can't do what I used to do. Does that mean I'm no longer a woman?" This question broke my heart because it reflects a silent, profound fear carried by many women. But here is the truth: your sexuality is not broken, it is evolving. If you have ever questioned why things feel different, or whether intimacy still holds a place in your life, you are in the right place. Before we delve into the first truth, I request your engagement. If you believe women over 60 deserve honest, respectful conversations about health, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and activate the notification bell. This ensures you receive future discussions where we break the silence on topics many women your age were never informed about. Let us commence. The 5 intimacy truths post-60. Truth 1. Arousal requires a new timeline. The first mistake many women make is the expectation that arousal should mimic the response observed at age 25. Many patients tell me, "Dr. Stones, I don't achieve natural lubrication as quickly as before. I assume I am broken." Here is the clinical reality post-menopause. Changes in estrogen levels necessitate a different tissue response. Blood flow is slower, natural lubrication production is delayed, and sensations may feel muted. This is not an endpoint for your sexuality. Think of this process like the life cycle of a plant. In spring, it blossoms quickly with minimal effort. In autumn, the same plant requires increased hydration and sunlight exposure before it opens. It still blooms, simply under a modified timeline. Truth 20. The insufficiency of habit without awareness. A common pitfall is utilizing intimacy purely as a physical outlet while neglecting the essential emotional component. I once consulted with Brenda, a retired teacher in her late 70s, who confessed, "I engage in self-touch nearly every night, not out of desire, but because I cannot achieve sleep otherwise." She had inadvertently converted intimacy into a coping mechanism for loneliness and anxiety. While self-pleasure does induce the release of calming neurochemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, thereby mitigating stress and enhancing sleep, when performed without presence or emotional awareness, the act can become devoid of meaning. The effect is analogous to the experience of consuming comfort food. During distress, initial comfort gives way to a sense of unfulfillment when the consumption is mindless. For Brenda, the routine persisted, but the intrinsic meaning was lost. Truth 30. The principle of use it or lose it. Vaginal atrophy. The third mistake is the belief that cessation of partner activity diminishes the necessity for sexual health attention. Your body does not follow this logic. Without regular stimulation, vaginal tissues can thin, blood flow decreases, and nerve endings become less sensitive. A condition termed vaginal atrophy. This parallels the atrophy of muscles when exercise is discontinued. Frances, a 74-year-old widow, came to me distraught, stating, "I finally met someone new, but my body doesn't work anymore." Her body was not broken, it was simply deconditioned. With gentle, consistent attention, her sensation slowly returned. Truth 4: the risk of sensory desensitization. The problem becomes paradoxical. If neglect can cause harm, what about the converse? The tools many women secretly rely on, specifically high-powered vibrators, may be quietly dulling sensitivity over time. Over-reliance on strong, mechanical stimulation can raise the sensory threshold required for response. This is similar to constant exposure to high-volume sound. Eventually, softer stimuli become imperceptible. The body becomes trained to respond only to an intense, specific input, potentially losing the ability to register the gentler, nuanced sensations essential for deeper connection and satisfaction. Truth 50. Intimacy as holistic wellness. The lifeline. The final truth is that self-pleasure at your age is not a liability, it is a critical component of wellness. It serves as a lifeline, a means to honor your body, maintain health, and sustain the spark of being fully human. This intentional practice, even once or twice a week, keeps tissues healthy, boosts calming hormones, as oxytocin, and reinforces the profound psychological message: I am still alive and deserving of pleasure. Gentle adjustments for intimate renewal. How do you transition from these insights to action? We begin with gentle, science-backed adjustments. Short-term adjustments, pacing and support. Slowing the pace. Your body now operates more akin to a slow cooker than a microwave. This is a biological reality, not a flaw. Patience and increased duration enhance the experience. Essential lubrication. Xerosis dryness is common. A simple water-based, fragrance-free lubricant can transform the experience, mitigating pain and restoring comfort. Lubrication is an act of clinical kindness. Mid-term adjustments, varying stimulus and mind engagement. Varying stimulus. If there has been a long-term reliance on high-powered devices, consider a temporary break. Allow your nerve endings to re-sensitize to gentler, varied sensations. Engaging the brain. Neuroscience confirms the brain is the largest sexual organ. Incorporate visualization, breath work, or gentle stretching before touch to deepen the experience. Pelvic floor integrity. Implement simple Kegel exercises for a few minutes daily. This increases local blood flow and sensitivity in a profoundly meaningful way. Long-term adjustments, holistic integration, routine integration. View self-connection as a wellness ritual, as natural as meditation or stretching, rather than a secret. Lifestyle support. Maintain strong circulation through activity and nourish tissues with hydration, leafy greens, and omega-3 fatty acids. Dehydration directly reduces lubrication and comfort. Case studies and final reflection. The experience of patients like Barbara, aged 68, whose body had been desensitized by over-reliance on a high-powered device, demonstrates the power of these adjustments. Her body had been trained to respond only to one kind of stimulus, losing the ability to register gentle sensation. By re-sensitizing her body through softer touch and breath work, she slowly regained sensation. This process affirmed that the body is like a garden. If watered excessively in one spot, the rest dries out. Nourishment must be gentle, intentional, and even. The truth is, desire doesn't retire. It softens. It shifts, but it never has to disappear. If there is one crucial takeaway, it is this: you are still whole, you are still worthy, and you are still capable of intimacy, pleasure, and connection. Your body is not a liability. It is simply inviting you to listen differently, to approach with patience, and to rediscover yourself with compassion. Stay curious about your body. Honor its changes instead of fighting them. And most of all, never allow shame or silence to dictate your choices. Your health and happiness are the direct result of the gentle, intentional choices you make today. I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these 5 clinical truths resonated with you most deeply? Your story may provide the exact catalyst another woman needs. Disclaimer: this information is provided strictly for educational purposes and is not a substitute for individualized medical consultation. Every woman's body is unique, If you are experiencing pain, significant physiological changes, or have specific health concerns, please consult with your healthcare provider for personalized medical guidance.